The Ugly Duckling. It was a peak of summer. In the haystacks, freshly cut hay was drying, while golden wheat stalks were ripening in the fields. Tall grass grew along the canal banks. Amidst the thick grass was a hidden duck's nest, where a duck sat and waited for her eggs to hatch into little ducklings. She had been waiting for quite some time, and at last, one by one, the eggs began to crack open, and tiny duckling heads emerged. Soon all the eggs, except for one, the largest of them all, had hatched. The duck had to continue to incubate it a bit longer until the last little duckling finally hatched. Seeing him, the duck quacked disapprovingly. "Oh my, you're so big and ugly." The next day was hot and sunny, and Mama Duck led her brood of ducklings to the canal. She jumped into the water, and one by one, all the ducklings followed suit. Soon the little ones were swimming like pros, and even the ugly duckling was swimming right alongside the others. When they arrived at the bird yard, Mama Duck warned her brood not to wander too far from her side. The other ducks in the yard thought all the ducklings were lovely, except for one, the big, ugly one. The ducklings stayed in the bird yard, but for the ugly duckling, it was very bad there. The adult ducks bullied him, pecked him, and laughed at him. The poor duckling had nowhere to hide, and one beautiful day he decided to run away. He ran for a long time until he finally reached a big swamp where wild ducks lived. In the reeds, he found a refuge for himself for 2 whole weeks. Some wild geese and ducks came to see him. "How ugly you are!" they declared, and began to laugh at the duckling. The poor little ugly duckling had to run away from the reeds. He ran for a long time through fields and meadows, got thoroughly soaked in the rain, and froze because of the strong wind. When it was already getting dark, the wet, shivering, and very tired duckling came to a small house. The house was very old, with many holes and cracks in the dilapidated door. One of the cracks was big enough for the duckling to climb into the house and hide from the cold. In that house lived an old woman. She had a cat that purred and a chicken that laid eggs. In the morning, the woman found a frozen and weakened duckling outside her door. She saw the duckling and said, "You can stay. Now we will have duck eggs." The duckling stayed, but he didn't lay any eggs. The cat asked the duckling, "Can you purr?" "No," the duckling sadly replied. "Can you lay eggs?" the chicken asked him. "No," the duckling replied again with a heavy heart. "Then go away," the cat and chicken said to him. So the ugly duckling was alone again. He wandered through swamps and reeds, and everywhere he went, animals and birds told him, "How ugly you are! How ugly you are! Whoa, how ugly you are!" Winter was approaching, leaves began to fall from the trees, and the ground froze and became hard as stone. The little duckling had nowhere to go. One evening, a flock of beautiful white swans with long necks flew over his head. "I want to be like them," thought the duckling sadly. He kept moving from place to place, but winter reminded him of its approach more and more often. One day, when the ground had frozen completely, the duckling couldn't find anything to eat. He became so tired while searching for water at the night that he fell asleep on the ice. The next morning, a farmer found him and took him home to his wife so she could take care of him. Once the duckling had rested and regained his strength, the farmer's children started playing with him. The children enjoyed chasing and scaring the duckling, so he had to run away again. In the end, the duckling found a hidden refuge in the dense reed thickets and stayed there until the end of winter. Many weeks passed and the warm spring began. The sun once again warmed the earth, and the duckling spread his wings. They had become large and strong. With a sudden flap of his wings, he lifted off the ground effortlessly and began to soar higher and higher. Down on the canal, 3 beautiful swans were swimming. The duckling gently descended, landed on the water, and suddenly saw his reflection in it. It wasn't an ugly duckling that looked back at him. He had grown very tall, sturdy, and had transformed into a beautiful white swan. He became so graceful and stunning that the other swans looked at him in admiration and surprise. "Stay with us," they suggested. And the duckling happily accepted their invitation. The Rabbit Reader read for you. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you for watching.